maybe the most creative, the most intelligent midfield on the planet belongs to them. Up front, elite, unstoppable strikers who set the world's biggest leagues ablaze. And above all, one of the greatest in history, leading them out as captain. This is the sixth and probably the final World Cup dance of his career, and it's the most emotional one yet. But that glittering promise was suddenly clouded by a shocking draw against the tournament's new face. Now, the entire football world is holding its breath, waiting on a single question. Will Portugal finally finish the story they left unwritten and march to glory? Or will the weight of all that talent crush them, handing us one of the great heartbreaks in football history? In this video, we won't read Portugal as just another list of famous names. We're going to dig into the fragile structure hiding behind that glittering squad, unpack Roberto Martinez's heavily debated tactical choices, a man playing chess with his lineup, and lay out exactly where this team's limits really are in this tournament. Let's be clear about one thing. Portugal is not just Ronaldo's shadow at this World Cup. This is one of the deepest, most dangerous favorites in the entire competition, built around a midfield axis that's been shaking European football to its core, and an attacking line that turns into a goal-scoring machine for every club involved. This story is only just beginning. The biggest strength of this squad is total control in midfield. Vitinha has turned into the man dictating the tempo for PSG this season, and that's a massive luxury for Portugal to have. Right beside him is João Neves, a wall in defense and a perfect bridge in transition. In fact, that early goal against the Democratic Republic of Congo came straight from the understanding between these two. Bruno Fernandes operates on a different level entirely, tearing up the Premier League with Manchester United. His killer final ball is the weapon Portugal trusts most to unlock stubborn defenses. Second great strength is the left flank. Nuno Mendes, widely considered one of the best left backs in the world, doesn't just offer defensive security. His explosive overlapping runs use the touchline like a highway, completely changing the width of Portugal's attack. That dynamism becomes the key weapon against opponents who park the bus and try to shrink the pitch, because Mendes' pace alone is enough to stretch even the tightest defense and create space. The third strength is the sheer variety up front. Rafael Leão sets the wings on fire with his pace and unstoppable one-on-one ability. Gonçalo Ramos brings ruthless finishing inside the box. João Felix adds pure creativity and game intelligence in the final third. Roberto Martinez has a weapon for every scenario sitting in his hands, and that depth makes it almost impossible for opponents to predict Portugal's attacking plan in advance. Now let's talk key players. Bruno Fernandes is one of the names who'll decide this tournament's fate, because most of Portugal's chances run through his feet. Expect rival midfields to make shutting him down a priority. The second key man is Ruben Dias, the leader of the defense and Portugal's aerial dominance, especially on set pieces. Portugal's safety net at the back. If either of these two loses form, the whole team's balance goes with him. The X factor is Francisco Conceição. The danger he created on the right wing against DR Congo caught everyone off guard, and his bursts of 1 or 2 electric minutes are exactly the kind of moment that can crack open a locked match. Nobody mentions his name first, but he might be the most dangerous card Martinez has waiting on the bench. And finally, Cristiano Ronaldo. For this team, he isn't just the man wearing the armband. He's Portugal's spirit on the pitch, its genetic code, its greatest source of mental strength. Despite his age, he hasn't lost that ruthless instinct for sniffing out chances in the box, and he remains the single biggest threat defenses have to account for. His mere presence on the pitch is enough to scramble an opponent's entire defensive plan, pulling focus onto himself and opening up huge spaces for the young stars around him. But Ronaldo's real importance in this tournament goes beyond the tactics board. He's the absolute leader in the dressing room, the idol of the younger generation, and the living embodiment of a refusal to give up. In short, no matter how packed with stars Portugal is, it's still his unshakable will steering the ship. Now let's move on to the ideal starting 11. In goal, expect to see the experienced gloves of Diogo Costa, valued at around 40 million euros. At the heart of defense, Benfica's rising talent, Tomás Araújo, alongside the defensive leader Ruben Dias, forming the center-back pairing. though we'll have to watch how ready Diaz really is after coming back from injury. At left back, the €80 million superstar Nuno Mendes leaves defenders helpless with his pace, while João Cancelo, a full-back turned playmaker with his technique, carves up the right flank. Move into midfield, and it almost looks like a PSG laboratory. Vitinha, who never lets the ball near the opposition, paired with João Neves, who sweeps through midfield with his energy. Together, they form the brain of this Portugal side, and the attack. On the right wing, Bernardo Silva, with his incredible footballing intelligence. Through the middle, Bruno Fernandes, the nightmare of locked-up defenses. On the left, Pedro Neto, rocking the Premier League with his explosive pace. On the bench, names like Rafael Leão, João Felix, and Gonçalo Ramos all wait for their shirt. And up top, leading the line, still losing nothing of his form at 41 years old, writing a new chapter, the captain, Cristiano Ronaldo. Despite all that, this squad has a serious defensive problem. Against DR Congo, Portugal took the lead as early as the 6th minute. Yet, in the closing stages of the first half, their backline was completely helpless against a lethal transition and conceded the equalizer. And, make no mistake, that was no accident. The massive gaps João Cancelo leaves behind when he pushes forward could become a recurring bomb against fast, direct teams. Opponents who play with a high tempo, take few touches, and go straight for goal will ruthlessly exploit those gaps on the flank. The second major risk is the uncertainty in goal. Diogo Costa may be a reliable wall between the posts, but there's no clear second-choice keeper waiting on the bench. That leaves Portugal exposed to a real nightmare in the event of an injury. And if opponents manage to rattle Portugal's defense with early, suffocating pressure, that same pressure could smother the creativity in midfield too. At that point, we wouldn't be watching a Portugal playing to win the cup, just a team scrambling not to go out. So how far can this star-studded squad actually go? After that shock draw with Congo in Group K, the matches against Uzbekistan and Colombia have turned into virtual must-win finals. Uzbekistan, making their first ever appearance at this level, is a golden opportunity for Portugal. But the clash with Colombia will be the real test, the one that decides who truly leads the group. If Portugal tops the group, the round of 32 opens up favorably. But if they slip to second, they could be staring down a heavyweight favorite far earlier than they'd like. Let's be honest, there are two conditions standing between this squad and a run all the way to the title, not just the quarterfinals. First, the backline, especially on the flanks, can't afford a single lapse in discipline. Second, Bruno Fernandes has to stay fit and keep this incredible form all the way to the final whistle of the tournament. If both boxes get ticked, a semi-final run is a genuinely realistic target. But if they don't, an early exit from this dream squad wouldn't surprise anyone. In the end, Portugal's football history keeps circling the same endless paradox. Individual quality was never the problem. The real issue has always been turning that quality into a flawless 90-minute machine. That late goal against Congo actually sums up the whole tournament for them. Portugal knows how to take the lead, how to steal the spotlight, but holding on to that lead, gripping the trophy tight, has never come easily. There's a psychological side to this paradox too. Martinez's star-studded squad is, in many ways, the next generation of players bruised by early exits and disappointment in past tournaments, and that dark shadow from the past might still weigh heavily on their minds. None of us know what happened in that dressing room after the late shock against DR Congo, but what we saw on the pitch was painfully clear. In the second half, Portugal held more of the ball, but they also looked anxious, almost fragile. It didn't look like a giant attacking to win. It looked like a team trembling not to lose. And in moments like that, individual talent alone isn't enough. You need an unshakable leader who keeps his head and his composure when everything starts to crack. That's exactly where Cristiano Ronaldo's enormous experience might end up mattering more than any tactic on the board. Looking at the possible quarterfinal scenarios, the picture gets even clearer. If Portugal finishes second in the group, they'll likely meet an organized, disciplined European wall of a defense in the round of 16. And that, frankly, is Portugal's worst-case scenario. Because this squad shines like a carnival against teams that open up the pitch and leave gaps behind, but against opponents who lock everything down and refuse to make mistakes, they can grow impatient and make decisions that border on self-destructive. That's why topping the group isn't just a formality for them. It's a matter of survival. The Colombia match isn't just about 3 points. It's the threshold that decides how brutal the rest of this tournament will be for them. And, of course, there's the elephant in the room: Ronaldo's physical workload. It's hard to believe, but he's 41 years old. Expecting him to play every single minute of every single match through the whole tournament simply isn't realistic. How and when Roberto Martinez manages that, away from the cameras, might end up being the single most decisive call of the entire campaign. Pulling him off early could drain the fear factor from Portugal's attack, but running him into the ground could be suicidal, heading into a knockout match in the round of 16 or the quarterfinals. It may be the toughest decision of Martinez's managerial career, and its timing could shape this tournament's outcome far more than any individual performance. Still, the fact that he played the full 90 minutes against Congo tells us something. For now, Martinez isn't gambling on rotation. He's trusting his captain's unbreakable will. One more thing worth mentioning: this squad isn't just being tested by its opponents right now. It's being tested by its own mind. Arriving at a major tournament as the favorite and going home early leaves behind more than tactical scars. It leaves a heavy, emotional weight on a team's shoulders. This time, it's not only millions of fans in front of their screens who want a different ending. It's the squad itself. If Ronaldo treats this tournament not as a sad farewell, but as one last chance to prove himself to the world, that fire could spread to the young generation behind him too. Players like Vitinha and João Neves, stepping into their first major tournament, may carry a hidden weapon: the desire to carve their captain's final dance into history in golden letters. So, as you watch Portugal through this tournament, keep one question in the back of your mind: is this a team stepping onto the pitch to fight for a win, or one playing scared, terrified of losing what it already has? That shaky performance against DR Congo didn't fully answer that question, which Portugal will see for the rest of the tournament is now one of the biggest mysteries in world football. So, do you think this dream team can break through the quarterfinal wall and start that historic march? Or will it fall once again, quietly, in the shadow of its own enormous potential? Let us know what you think in the comments. See you in the next video.